So it's pretty informal. No need to raise hands. I don't have like a list of 10 questions. I just have some general topics that I kind of want to talk about and learn about. So feel free to jump in at any point. We're just going to keep this pretty casual. And second, I'm going to kick it off by giving my knowledge on what I know about AI agents in gaming, and we'll go from there. I really only know of two things that AI agents can do in gaming, and I'm sure there's way more, but this is the two I know of. First is that you can create dynamic NPCs and bosses. No longer do you have these boring characters in game. They're no longer static, but through AI agents, you can make them adaptive, goal oriented, and much more exciting. And second of all, you can do personalized gameplay. So you can make it highly personalized to the person, and AI agents are helping to influence that. Those are the two general areas I know of. Renz, I kind of want to kick it over to you, and maybe you can touch on those two topics and touch on the other things that you think AI agents can do within games.
Oh yeah, for sure. That's I would say like those are like two real applications that people are very much excited about gaming. But I want to go like grassroots, right? Like essentially, if you have like agents within game, these agents can actually do like different functions, right? You can have it chat, you can have it move, you can actually perceive its environments and stuff, right? And ultimately, like all of these functions can culminate towards like creation of like different things. For example, if I have like an agent perform like a chat function, right? Like it could very well be as simple as like maybe having like an LLM and then like trained by a specific subject which you can then ask, right? In the same manner, you can also have it maybe like create content, whether that's going to be like a mini side quest, right? That asks you like random riddles that you can interact with, right? Based off whatever model it's actually trained. Um, what happens if you actually combine like now move and chat, right? Like an agent can actually be, following you around or touring you to the environment that you guys are in, um, blindly, of course, because it's only trained with like chat and move, and it can only go like in random directions, right? But then you can also add in that environment data, which now enables this agent to also be aware of its surroundings, right? Now this allows this agent to identify like if there's a tree like in front of you, right? And earlier I mentioned about side quest, it can go deeper than that, right? Maybe have you picked up an apple, right? Because it now has like all of these things baked into its memory and be able to understand and create like more dynamic engagements with you. And ultimately, right, for me, the ability of an agent really depends on the input that we're actually feeding into it, right? So the more functions an agent can have, the more robust applications can be. I imagine it to be similar to how we actually did like I would say like DeFi before, right? Where we can start off with like text. Suddenly, like this text can be hooked up to different DEXs, and then you can create like a DeFi a DEX aggregator, and then from these things you can create like a loans platform. So the in terms of like the agentic capabilities, like within a game environment, right? It really depends on what sort of like information we can feed it, what sort of functions we will actually teach it, and then based off of that, it can create like numerous combinations and possibilities that we might not even heard of. But yeah, um, it's really exciting altogether. But I would actually give the floor as well to someone else who might have some thoughts within the topic as well.
Yeah, honestly, that's so exciting, and I love that. And I think this would be a great opportunity to throw it over to Taryn because it sounds like with that announcement you all had virtuals, this is kind of the realm that you guys are implementing, right?
Yeah, yeah, for sure. So regarding some of the applications that you're talking about, like I think you brought up dynamic NPCs and personalized experiences, right? So they're the obvious ones, and I think they're actually quite impactful. Like the obvious ones are impactful. I remember, I don't know if I was talking to someone about it today. Actually, I don't know if any of you guys remember back in the day. It was about 10 years ago. There was a game that came out, Shadows of Mordor, and I think that was one of the first games that started to use somewhat dynamic NPCs where if you had burnt one of the bosses and they survived, the next time you found them, they'd be afraid of fire or they'd want to get revenge on you and ban you or something like that. And so that was back in the day when AI was not as good as it is now. So with AI agents, like that shifts it completely. Some of the other stuff that we can do, and I think, and these are all things that are in discussions and that we're exploring. I don't know if you guys saw the NVIDIA presentation where I think they're doing something with MER 5 with intelligent enemy behavior. So it can actually, especially if you're doing something like, so we're transitioning our overworld game into something more of an MMO light, which I think is what everyone always wanted. And in an MMO light style game, you're gonna have raids, things like that, and having it gets boring if you can predict what the enemy is going to do. And we can use AI agents to make it actually intelligent, where it can kind of notice the, the team that it's going up against and say, okay, instead of tackling like aiming for the tank, let me aim for the support. And then you as a player need to readjust your strategy. So that's another thing that you can do in our game. Again, we have like it's essentially Pokemon. You've got a companion, AI agents with companion AIs, making sure that you build an actual Ash Pikachu relationship. Like that's huge, not just in our game, but in so many other games. So there's a bunch of things that you can actually do. Another one that I think is overlooked currently, and I think will be explored a lot, is AI agents or that kind of feel for tutorials and guides because a lot of players learn differently, right? Like if it's not a very straight game, so it'll pop up with what you as a player needs, not just the generic, hey, do this, do that. It kind of lets you do your own thing, and it just bumps you in the right direction with where you are. So there's a bunch of applications that we're exploring with this partnership with Virtual. So yeah, very excited to see what the future holds. But in terms of AI integration in gaming, it's yeah, it feels like the last couple of years in gaming we've seen a bit of a dip, but 2025 feels like we're seeing that uptick in gaming again, which is quite cool.
Yep, go for it, Jay.
Yeah, cool. I just wanted to hop in here because you mentioned something that was really cool, which is predictability. And what I find interesting about this is that most games, let's say you have a goal,